Mr. Morita, right? CSO Jasmine, like he says, we know he invented Felica, all right? No, not by Felicia. Why it would be perfect. Now, hear this out for a second. He makes a good point here. Power consumption ideal for Internet of Things. It reduces blockchain transactions for better performance. Its ability to manage many devices makes it a perfect choice for IoT at scale. This is what I love. I love to see another researcher who just doesn't post the typical stuff. No offense to some people, but sometimes I just want to post here's what the Fibonacci retracement line is doing, blah, blah, blah. Am I into Jasmy on the short term? Am I into Jasmy for day trading? Or am I into Jasmy for that long-term hold for generational wealth? Yeah, you better believe I'm holding it long-term. But one thing that we consistently covered here is scalability. Like when we talked about, that layer 2 solution through centrality. And then, in the future, for instance, quant, is that a real thing? Could that happen? Well, say what you want. Hyperledger Fabric supported through interoperability with the quant network through Overledger. Just got to throw that out. We're going to go ahead and play this. He did a really good job on this 2-minute and 20-second clip, and then I'm going to take you to why we're even pointing this out. So smash that like, and again, thank you to NeoX Tricks for the information. Here we go.
Highly populated urban areas, particularly in Asia, require high-performance, secure, and flexible smart card systems. Felica contactless smart card technology meets such mission-critical requirements. Now let's take a look at Sony's Felica technology. Felica technology has been standardized internationally under ISO IEC 18092, which is the basis of Near-Field Communication, NFC. The specifications of NFC technologies, including Felica, are developed by the NFC Forum. A Felica card consists of an antenna and an IC chip incorporating a CPU. The power for the IC card is supplied by the radio waves emitted from the reader-writer, and contactless communication with the card is executed through the electromagnetic field. Let's now take a look at the 4 key features of Felica technology. With conventional smart cards, Access to locked files requires multiple mutual authentications with each individual file key. With Felica, however, simultaneous access to multiple files is enabled by a single mutual authentication with the group key. Felica provides high-speed, reliable, and seamless contactless communication for the service provider's efficient operation and convenience for the users. Felica provides a tree structure of areas and data blocks, which correspond to folders and files on PCs.
All right, so just giving you that little quick gist real quick. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more in regards to this. All right, and here's the next 2 minutes of this. This plays, of course, from Neo X Tricks. Give me a second. Pull this up on the screen. So on this one, like he says, Felica offers a complete solution for management in the IoT. It secures identifiers, simplifies payments between devices, and provides traceability of physical assets, thus improving. I'm sure they thought about it for Jasmine Chain Layer 2. Yeah, absolutely. Glad that he sees it as well. Let's share this with you guys, because you want to know something? Anything about Jasmine with Sony, like, I'm all over that. I'm sure you guys are all over that too. Let's play this. Here we go.
Which correspond to folders and files on PCs. The keys and access rights can be set separately for these areas and data blocks, enabling multiple applications for various service providers on a single card. By using Felica's unique group key mechanism generated from each file key, interoperability can be achieved within a single card without passing the raw key to another company. In the public infrastructure, adopting higher security technologies is important to protect users from various risks. Felica's standard IC chip is the world's first contactless smart card chip to acquire the high security level of EAL6+ Common Criteria certification for composite products based on ISO IEC 15408. Felica can be incorporated into a variety of form factors, such as key fobs, wristbands, and coin-type tokens, while maintaining high speed and communication performance. Since 2004, Felica technology has been incorporated into mobile phones in Japan. These days, Felica is built into Android smartphones and iPhones that are used globally, and its use is expanding in Asia. As you can see, Felica has unique capabilities and meets the demands of the market. Sony will continue to support your smart card business to create a new lifestyle and foster a range of applications through Felica.
All right, that was obviously pretty cool, for him to piece that together, right? Obviously, we have more to it than just what you saw. And basically speaking, there's this other guy, because we're talking about this whole concept of layer 2 solutions. And we'll get back into the whole Felica segment here in a bit. And basically, like you said, regarding Jasmine Chain Layer 2 and carbon emissions, he found a company who's building in secret that has possibly revolutionary tech for blockchain. Guess overlaps will be in carbon credit market. And then one thing we want to point this out is, it might not be directly connected to Jasmine, but you get the idea about what they're trying to accomplish, especially with, Jasmine. We talked about some of these things about, carbon credits and so on. So, a lot of talk about all these new possibilities for this layer 2 solution, especially with Jasmine making their own blockchain. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. This one's only about 2.5 minutes, but, the point is, like what it's mentioned, right? Devio Inc. To all the layer ones still trying to solve challenges like speed, flexibility, and interoperability, Devio just did that, right? Basically speaking. So we're going to play this as well, and then we'll jump back into the whole thing with Felica here in a bit. Please smash that like.
Where the internet enabled the transfer of data, blockchain enables the transfer of value. The ability to transfer digital value makes blockchain technology arguably one of the single greatest breakthroughs in computing. However, since its inception, it's been severely limited in speed, scale, and scope, making it impossible for enterprise businesses to harness its true value. But all that's about to change. Meet Devex. Up until now, the current architecture of Layer 1 blockchains has been a single main net that records all of the data created by its users on a single chain. This means there is only one path where all transactions must flow, leading to congestion and added cost. Devex, however, is an entirely new type of blockchain. Thousands of independent blockchains or shards exist on the Devex network. These shards can instantly connect through our highly secure cross-shard mechanism. So when, for example, Alice sends Bob a payment, it's actually traveling instantly from the shard Alice's wallet is located on, directly to Bob's wallet on his separate blockchain. The Devex cross-shard connection creates the path between the two wallets in an instant, with state-of-the-art security. It also creates consensus with all other shards. This innovative design means that a wallet can be held in any shard across the world, be used for any purpose, and nearly instantly settle with any other wallet at a fraction of the cost of other blockchains. Devex's unique architecture provides a flexibility and speed not achievable on other layer ones. For example, when it's time to scale, much like a cloud service, we can spin up as many new shards as a project requires. If one shard can handle 1,000 transactions per second, 2 shards can handle 2,000 transactions per second. Developers can simply add as many shards as needed for any given scale. Devio has implemented its cross-shard mechanism in benchmark tests with over 8 million cross-shard transactions per second. Integration is a breeze with Devex because transactions are actually created with a traditional Web 2 RESTful API. This means any one of the world's 25 million web developers can instantly and easily integrate the Devex blockchain to create powerful Web3 applications. The Devex sharding architecture, RESTful API, and consensus algorithm makes the Devex Layer 1 blockchain not only the fastest blockchain in the world, but also shockingly cost-effective, infinitely scalable, and most of all, interoperable for everyone. It's time for a truly unblocked blockchain. It's time for Devex.
All right. So for one, nothing against, Devex, but they are not the world's fastest blockchain. I hate to, basically ruin that hope and prayer that people maybe had in regards to Devex. The whole point of that segment was to give you a good example of scalability. Jasmine, as we speak, we have the whole thing in regards to centrality, and we can scale up to 1,000 TBS. You saw the example of what they showed with the sharding. No, not that type of sharding with a D, right, to 2,000 TPS. And where can we go from there? Well, that example they showed in regards to DevX, devs can incorporate more of that scalability they choose to do. So, I mean, that is game changer. So maybe from that point of view, that's infinite scalability. Am I really already ready to hop on the bandwagon and say, okay, this is the fastest one? No, not really. I want to, try to verify that a little bit more. But it sounds super impressive. The key takeaway from this is basically that Jasmine is looking to accomplish some big things with scalability, going to a layer 2 and so on. What does that mean for the future? Well, what it means for me is that I recognize that, we talk about the accumulation phase. Yeah, at some point we're going to have to be able to swap this, but it's not a swap where it's like a meme token where, basically we, like Saitama, for instance, where basically I'm down 99% on my initial investment. No, it was mentioned in the last particular AMA, and we cover this in the previous 2 or 3 days ago segment about Jasmine, that 1-1 ratio. That's awesome. You know what I mean? That stands out. That's a good thing. So I'm not sweating it. If I was sweating it, and recognizing that, in the future, man, we're going to get killed with these V1 tokens. No, there's no talk about a V1 or anything like that. A good solid project like Jasmine, again, 1-1. So I recognize the sales that we still have, and I recognize where we're going with these other scalable solutions. That was a perfect, well done, well illustrated example of where we're trying to go. Now, back to the topic of, for instance, what we're sharing with you guys in regards to Felica. Here it basically is. This is from Reddit. So 2 years ago, this was reported that Jasmine is integrated into Felica, and Jasmine executive Morita is from the Felica team at Sony CSL. And that is worth pointing out because, we have covered here at CTN these different people, and that is like, for instance, Kazuma Sato, Kudetake Ando, talking about Hara, talking about some of these other key players. We never really got into the whole thing of Morita. Well, here it is. Senior strategist, Morita is a member of Sony Computer Science Laboratories and is familiar with the security of the non-contact IC card. Now, we have talked about IC card in the past. That's not the point. The point is, though, the technology, and that is Felica. Felica, if you didn't know, is a technology that has been used in Japan for 20 years. And has never had a major security problem. Now, that instills confidence. We're going to talk about Jasmine with the personal data lockers and that whole concept of protecting data management, and so on. Well, who is your plug? Who is your connector to actual proven security measures? Enter in Felica. It's proven itself. So another thing we talk about here is, like Mike Cornwell's point out in the past, like Stellar, basically the example of being able to swipe your debit card, and in the future, Auntie May or whoever the heck it is going to be able to use her debit card like normal, but if anything, it's tied into crypto, and she doesn't even realize that it is. Here's another example of security, right? In the future, people don't even realize that, for instance, Jasmy's personal data lockers, the security side of things, is teamed up with Felica, and they don't even realize it. But you know what? The things that run in the background that have proven themselves. That's what I want to pay attention to, and that's why I bring it to you guys. So there's a little bit more to it than just this, and if anything, I'm going to bring you to the next part of what we have. And basically speaking, there's this right here, and this is something, again, is from a while back, but it's good info. And I think this one, if anything, also comes from Neo X Tricks, or might come from Level 8, but that's beyond the point. At the end of the day, how does Jasmine face the new data security challenges brought by bring your own device, not bring your own beer, bring your own device in the post-epidemic era? Now, we were talking about just now the concept of security. So I like how this is headlined. How do they face that new data security challenge? Well, let's take you to just that. Getting more into this, you will see some things that are basically mentioned here. And I know this part where it mentions Delta and Omicron is blurry. I'm not going to get into that. And if anything, you're probably tired of hearing about, Rona and so on. But in reality, you got to keep in mind Society 5.0 and some of the developments about it and so on came in from this whole concept of this new world that we live in. So yes, there's many countries that are working diligently and so on. But my point is, when we get to the part where we talk about how these challenges will change people's lives and their work conditions, you got to keep in mind where it says this right here. Enterprises and individuals will continue to increase their intentions and demands for what? Remote online offices. Yes, absolutely. You even saw Kudetake Ando. He basically got that office in San Francisco because it was a future remote work area for the U.S. plug for Jasmine. Now you literally see these new partnerships for Jasmine to create mass adoption. Remember, we gave you that example from a few days ago. Was it Pleb and there was another one, I can't recite it, but the point is, those are two key new partnerships for that US plug for mass adoption. So life and social life will rely more on various social applications. Yes, new isolated Rona, if you will. Online life and work will become the norm under the impact of variants. I mean, whether we agree with it or not, it's apparently a reality, right? So what is this? Well, it states in regards to business operators, they are, of course, concerned in regards to all this. And the convenience and flexibility shown by telecommuting under the influence of the epidemic are fully qualified for business continuity. Now, check out what's mentioned in regards to Google, Amazon, Facebook, and so on. Telecommuting has always been the norm in companies such as those. Employees who work from home only need to make a simple application. But telecommuting is more suitable for the era of the digital economy. Now, look at this. They give you this example. How employees use their personal phone for work purposes. 13%, for instance, of those workers enter time expenses related to business functions. 21% connect to social networks. 30% read and write, and only 41% access email. Okay. On top of that, what are the benefits in regards to bringing your own device? Like, literally me bringing my own Android phone. Mike Cornwell gives me crap all the time about having Android phone. All right. Well, you could bring his, iPhone, whatever the case be, right? Benefits of bringing your own device is, like it shows here, 58% is improved on productivity. There's a lot of savings for doing so, right? Because you're bringing just that, your own device. You're not relying on your employer to have the devices. But the bottom line is, like I said, 71% allows people to work on most comfortable devices. So if I want to use my Android, I could use my Android. Mike Cornwell wants to use his iPhone. He could use his iPhone and he could be glad about it, right? But on the other hand, the data storage problems of computers. Remember earlier we were talking about render? You just connected. It's okay. We did a segment about render. And we did talk about data storage. So what is all this and why make such a fuss about it? Well, it's not really a fuss, but the key thing is recognizing like what kind of value is in all of this. So it does mention Jasmine, and the point is this. It says data storage problems of computers, mobile phones, and other hardware devices used in remote office work. The data transmission problems of application software and network and enterprise IT management and low capacity are all new challenges that enterprises must face up to. Now, which ones have currently faced up to it and which ones have expanded and embraced new technologies? You know where I'm going with this. Distributed ledger technologies, the Internet of Things, and how it all comes together. So it goes on to state that these prominent issues will involve business secrets and the personal privacy of corporate employees. Personal privacy of corporate employees, business secrets. What kind of value is there on that? Now, this is something we have not touched on a lot, but earlier we were talking about how much certain, digital assets are going to be worth because of what kind of value they bring. We talk about the Internet of value, but we are talking specifically on Internet of Things, and those Internet of Things devices, depending on which ones, don't necessarily all have the same type of value, do they not? Right, of course not. Just like a real physical asset, as in like a mansion or a skyscraper, has a lot more value than my, middle class house that I live in right now, right? Obviously, again, it should be treated as so. The point I'm trying to share with you is business secrets and personal privacy of corporate employees. That right there is an industry in which, I should say industry, but that right there is a different level of privacy. That data on those secrets or the personal privacy of not just corporate employees, but executives and so on, that data itself should be worth heck of a lot more. Who are some of the plugs? Who are some of the connects? You get where I'm going with this. I said that basically speaking, in the digital economy era, every piece of data information is related to the company's survival. Again, company survival, How much is this going to be worth? I'll tell you this much, it ain't going to be worth 0.003 and some change. Again, do you understand the concept of utility in motion? In November of 2021, Japan's leading data security service provider, Jasmine, yes, I did mention Jasmine, company, provides a product, of course, that we know as Jasmine. And we know the history about this. I'm going to get more into it. But it was an introduction about this optimal solution for remote mobile working. And what I want to share with you guys is what's mentioned in this small little area. And that is in regards to the Secure PC Basic Edition and how it basically heralds, the official release of the Secure PC back then. And it talks specifically about meeting the market demand, because we're always talking about supply and demand, of remote mobile working in the post-epidemic era, providing both security and efficiency in the workspace. Yes, the workspace. Jasmine is about to take the business world by storm, not just by a little bit, but by storm, with a new round of innovation. Did we not see them expand? And if anything, constantly trying to develop new products. They don't just settle, for instance, for a laptop. We see, for instance, a smartwatch. We see all sorts of different examples. So, based on the earlier characteristics, issues for remote online work and life, Jasmy's Secure PC exclusively, were you aware of this, enjoys Secure Knowledge Communicator, and we have talked about this, the SKC, and also Smart Guardian. You will always hear about this all the time. Maybe you get tired of hearing about it. But the key thing is the industry insiders, because of these technologies. These two technologies, as an SKC and Smart Guardian, are in the Internet of Things. And on top of that, the chain industry belongs to a new brand commercial level data security processing technology. Like it goes on to mention, there's all sorts of protection. But at the end of the day, I like the idea of some of these use cases. And again, check this out as well. Because we talk about data value and all sorts of things like that. They give this example that in an emergency, you can view operating details of the PC like the car's driving recorder. Look at this quote. The product is not only newly introduced, but the industry's first solution-based threat detection, contactless chip encryption technology, which can effectively prevent extortion software, unauthorized access, encryption, monetary mining attack. Also uses personal data cabinet, P2P, peer-to-peer, distributed storage services, technology networks through content address providers services. In regards to that file or that cabinet or that system, that is stored in the distributed storage system. So when we always talk about distributed ledger technologies, what about distributed storage systems? We talk about a personal data locker, but what about that locker and that data being literally in a cabinet, right? It's all literal, right? It makes sense. That, you have that data value sharing in the era of what? The digital economy. So it states this right here in regards to the government. I want to bring this to you guys. That under the influence of the epidemic, cyber attacks by computer viruses and hackers, of course, have been more and more rampant. Yeah, no kidding. And they are more inclined to a higher value. This is why I'm bringing this to you. This is not just some recycled thing. A higher value for governments, banks, enterprises, and financial markets. I want you guys to understand what you hold, why you hold it. Maybe you didn't even realize that there's different levels of utility, different levels of value of that data, and how much that could be worth. Plain as day, higher value for who? The government, the banks. I already said that. So I'm paying attention to this. I think you should pay attention to this. And the bottom line is the technologies. Now, getting back to the part about Felica, and before we get to this highlight, bottom line is this. In other words, with the help of Jasmine Internet of Things platform, because you better believe it is a platform, companies do not need all employees of the information technology department to work overtime. No, eliminate, overhead costs. Not that they're trying to be cheap on the whole thing of paying people time and a half, but they do have a business to run, right? So if you can enable these devices to be more efficient by simply people recognize, to be more comfortable bring their own devices that they're already familiar with. It's a win-win. So they can genuinely achieve automated management while ensuring data security. It dramatically simplifies the workload, like I was talking about earlier with overhead and so on, of enterprise IT operation and maintenance, and prevents data information leakage. As the person in charge of the Sony Felica project, again, back to what we were talking about originally, Mr. Now Morita brings his experience in encryption technology to Jasmy's services, thus significantly ensuring the security of hardware devices and various products of the Jasmy Internet of Things platform. All right. Bottom line is this. Why point out each one of these guys from Jasmy? You may be wondering that. And that's a good question. We want to know more about these specific people. Whether we have 23 people watching the show right now, or 0, or 1, whatever the case be, it's going to be chopped up. You guys will see it later. The key thing is this. Notice that Kunitake Ando brought something to the table in regards to Sony many years ago. And if anything, what he brings, obviously, to Jasmy. Same goes for Kazuma Sasato with all his patents, his connections, education, and so on. Enter into this third person, right? You got to understand each one of these former executives bring a lot to the table. I like the idea that they're not all the same type of talent. So again, how many times have we brought you examples in regards to all these people bringing in different talents? Remember the analogy, again, maybe get tired of me mentioning it, of, a Hollywood production, right? Hollywood production has multiple different talents, different skill sets, different people who bring something. But the bottom line is Society 5.0. What is it really going to be worth? And if anything, what is it going to mean to you?